Turtle of Oman, Chapter 17, Delicious Detours. Arif's mother came outside to wave them off. She had a mop over her shoulder and a wide smile. Have fun, be safe. Sidi backed out of the driveway, looking into his mirror closely. He announced, "We are going to the Night of 1,000 Stars camp. You wore the perfect shirt. Remember when we went there a few years ago, but had to leave quickly because of the sandstorm? Remember the baby camel that kept licking your head?" He turned right at the corner. Arif laughed. "The baby camel thought I was its mother." "No, father. That was crazy." Sand was getting in its eyes, so it couldn't see clearly. "It is probably grown up by now." "It is probably in Saudi Arabia drinking tea," Sidi said, stopping at a traffic light. "Do you have your toothbrush?" "Yes, I even have underpants." Sidi laughed and said, "It is always fun to have an expedition, no?" Then he turned left toward the brown hills and mountains and the white ribbon of highway heading out of the city. The giant oil tanker truck lumbered past them, going in the other direction, making a huge roaring sound. They passed gas stations and a falafel restaurant and a store for furniture and lamps. They passed a high school with a soccer field and a water filtering plant. "Can we pass by the Turtle Beach?" Arif asked. "On our way home," said Sidi. "We'll see what's happening with the turtles. We'll find out if any remember us. Right now, we're going to drive up the road through the wild olive trees. Keep your eyes open for the vultures. I'd like to take a turn to see one old friend on the way, if it's fine with you." "Is his name Mohammed?" Sidi laughed. "In fact, it is." All Sidi's old friends were named Mohammed. Mohammed is a very precious name. In fact, Sidi's own name was Mohammed, but Arif never called him that. "How long will we stay there, Sidi?" "Not too long, just long enough to get gas and chewing gum and sesame crackers and guava juice and sit on a big rock and ask Mohammed how his life is going. Later, we will find a secret cave filled with prehistoric bones." "Really? Bones?" "Not really. But last time I drove up here, I saw a cave that might have some. Would you like to check?" "Can we look for fossils, too?" This was the way they talked for miles and miles, syllables unrolling with the pavement. Were those goats or sheep? Well, maybe both. Goats and sheep probably got along fine in the field. Actually, they do. Did they speak the same language? Arif liked the large goats with horns. Near a tiny house beside the old stone well, blue towels flapped on a line. A girl wearing a red dress ran through a golden field carrying something yellow, like a stuffed bear. Sidi and Arif rumbled along the Mansour till the city felt far behind them. Mansour. Not sure. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm tearing it up. "Look at that house," said Arif, pointing at another rundown little house the size of one room. "What do you think lives there?" "Obviously someone older than me," said Sidi. To the left, up among some huge brown boulders, a truck seemed abandoned. "Why is that truck sitting in the middle of the field?" asked Arif. "A hopeful uncle got lost searching for precious gems." "Where is he now?" "At the bank." A white school bus passed them along the other way. 3 large white vans followed the bus. "Looks like a field trip," Sidi said. There wasn't too much traffic headed toward the mountains, though. "What's that smoke over there?" asked Arif. Large plumes floated over a distant slope. "It's not smoke, it's dust. I heard they're building a new fancy neighborhood way out from the city with good views, and the houses will all have swimming pools." "We will have a swimming pool in Michigan," said Arif. "Did I tell you that? The other night I thought I heard a wolf howling, or maybe it was a fox in our neighborhood. Umisawa told my mom she saw it sitting in the moonlight on her porch." Sidi said, Did she open the door? I heard there have been more wolves spotted in the northern wilderness lately, but if it's in the city, I think it's a fox. Do foxes lick themselves the way cats do? I don't know that. Do you? Do you think of a fox as being more like a cat or a dog?" "A cat, but a wild cat." I think it's in between. I think it's just itself, not like either of them. The Jeep was hardly a smooth ride, but Arif loved it. He pretended he was riding a horse. Suleiman took horseback riding lessons at the Muscat Equestrian School, and Arif had gone with her parents once to observe a special display of proud Arabian horses wearing flower necklaces and headdresses, doing tricks and jumps. Suleiman loved it. But Arif's parents had never wanted him to ride a horse. They were afraid he'd hurt himself. Arif gripped the door handle and fiddled with the radio with his other hand. Voices floated in from outer space. He liked the crackling, the scraps of messages and music that didn't really connect. Arabic and English and Farsi mixed together when you flipped quickly from one station to another. They heard a faraway voice mentioning a new museum, and Arif said, "Where do you think this is coming from?" "Abu Dhabi, for sure," CD said. Arif twiddled the dial, letting more voices crackle out. "Barsa, Bahrain, Doha," said CD. Mansour rumbled past long lines of palm trees and wadis. They passed an ancient sand-colored fort with holes in the walls. In the distance loomed an old blue tilled mosque with a minaret. They sang a bird song in Arabic with a chorus of cheep, 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 and Arif clapped his hands. CD snapped the fingers of one hand. They waved at people driving in the other direction, and those people waved back. And sure enough, just as Arif had known they would, they took detours. They turned down a tiny road near a donkey stall and stopped at a field so CD could collect some stones that were orange, speckled, and strange. "I think these fell from another planet," he said. "They were meteorites that hit the Earth. They came blasting down when I was a boy and split into pieces. I have always meant to stop and look. So many still here." CD dropped one into Arif's hand, and the other stones into a canvas bag in the back of his Jeep. Arif stared at his chunk of meteorite, which seemed very fresh despite being so old, and whispered, "Hello, outer space. Hello, faraway galaxies." When they pulled in at Muhammad's shop, which seemed to Arif to sit too far off the road to have any customers ever, there was bad news for CD. Another man named Sami, it probably pronounced Sami, was sitting behind the dusty counter. He said Muhammad called a ride into Muscat to check on his foot. "Haram, what's wrong with his foot?" CD asked. "If he knew, he would fix it," said Sami, and the two men laughed together. "Well, tell him my 2 feet stopped to wish his foot well," said CD. "And Arif's feet did too, and we will come back another time, in 3 years maybe." "I will tell him," said Sami. "I am sure his foot will be grateful. Would you like some falafel? I just made a fresh batch." CD bought 2 steaming hot falafel sandwiches, which they ate outside by a chipped green plant pot shaped like a frog. Then they zoomed down the golden brown highway like 2 meteorites speeding through the heavens. It was incredible how much energy a falafel sandwich could give you. CD put on his sunglasses and sang a song in Arabic about a beautiful day and sunshine bathing the ground. Arif noticed the Jeep rising to a higher altitude, its nose tipping up. Before they got well into the mountains, CD pulled over to check out a watermelon stand. Ripe chunks of deep red watermelon were displayed on a table with a plastic cover over them, like a transparent tent keeping off flies. The watermelon man seemed to be sleeping in his plastic chair. He jumped up and offered them samples, which were sweet and ripe and juicy. CD bought a watermelon and placed it on Mansour's little basket. "Seen anything interesting lately?" CD asked. The watermelon man told him some giant white cranes had been gathering behind the village at a pond at sundown. The babies had already hatched, but the nests were still there. You think there might be any around the pond right now? CD asked. The man shrugged. Don't know. You could go and look. He pointed behind him to a small road. Arif hadn't even noticed. Arif and CD took a little hike that way. Down the road lay a village of a few scattered houses, brown as putty or mud, and behind those houses was a shiny pond as round as a coin. Some people stepped out of their houses to wave at them. At the pond, CD spotted a few large nests of woven reeds and sticks tucked by the banks. CD motioned Arif to come over and look. Look! Maybe they'll use them again for their next eggs. But not a crane was in sight. CD glanced around the bright sky. Bet they're off having lunch like we did. Or maybe they've gone to another country, too. Did you know that sometimes the father cranes sit on the nests just like the moms? They share the job. Have you ever heard a crane making wild trumpet sounds at dusk? No. Well, we'll put that on our agenda to come back here someday and hide in those tall reeds over there and wait for them. Good idea? Very good.